The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I am Mike, just in the nick of time.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 399, Mr. Somich.
Huzzah!
I really thought that you were not going to make it. Really. And what's funny is that Shadi was chanting for the long intro. I almost did it because I saw you get up, and I was like, Mike knows this is the short one. And I was like, does Mike know this is the short one?
I just wanted to get our guests here to make sure they could join the program at some point. So I had to make a quick little run and confirm them for the show. And that luckily happened.
Oh, wait, we have guests on the show today?
We have 2 guests on the show, yeah.
Oh, boy. I wasn't ready for this one.
Yeah,
Here's what happens when we go early. We're 4 hours early. If you're joining us early on Monday, thank you for joining us. Leave us a like and a thumbs up on the YouTube video if you can. It really helps us a lot with the algorithm. Mike, an interesting weekend. Some highs and some lows. I don't know which one you want to talk about first, but I know which one you're more excited to talk about track-wise.
Yeah, this is a very frustrating week for me. I'm just going to get right out in front of that. I went 4 out of 5 in a pick 5 sequence every single day this weekend, including just some of the most brutal noses. I mean, Ruse losing that race by a nose, that absolutely stung. The next day, the 5 horse for Cameo sprinting, that one stung. The sequence that we covered, not having the 9 in the last, that one stung. Like, it was just all of these just painful losses all weekend, which is really frustrating when you combine it with CDI just taking a crap on a bunch of different things, which we'll talk about as well. But it was just, oh man, it was one of those weekends.
It was. And if you caught our reaction, you got to hear along with Aaron Halterman, we had some very interesting, very blatant, honest thoughts that we're going to reiterate here about what Churchill Downs did. Charles says he feels Mike 4 out of 5 is normal for him.
This was one of those weeks. I'm so happy we're resetting to a new week here. I mean, it started out with that Colonial pick 5 on Tuesday, which was absolutely brutal. And then it just rolled out until the whole weekend. So exciting to get the fresh start here, get back at Saratoga. I'm already done with Wednesday's Saratoga card, which, by the way, I really like. And last week was great, too. And the Dudes Who Bet Daily went 3-1-1 with 3 horses that were 2-1 or better. So, like, the best bets were winning. The sequences were just struggling. So you feel like you're just all over it. And you can't finish the job. And that's just a really frustrating feeling, especially when it's always happening in the last leg or the second to last leg.
Speaking of the Dudes Who Bet Daily, the CFL bets continue to do really well. So I'm excited about that. Make sure to check those out. That is every Wednesday through Sunday at noon Eastern on the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. It's 15 minutes or so with it's usually a combination of Mike, Aaron Halterman, Papa Dude shows up. Jared and I show up when schedules allow and give out our best bets. Jared's actually, I think, record-wise, Jared is the best in the group. So we just need him to show up more.
Yeah, I think he's 8-2, 8-3 now. One of those two for the overall. So yeah, he's 5 over 500 right now, doing very well in that aspect. But yeah, he doesn't show up every day, so I'm not sure if I'm going to give him full credit for it because he just kind of skirts around the days. He doesn't really want to pick anyone. So I mean, if we're supposed to be Dudes Who Bet Daily, you should have more than 11 picks, 25 shows in. But hey, who am I to judge?
Listen. That's exactly. You're some of us daily is defined differently than others. It's an alternative definition is what we're talking about here. Go ahead.
I would say he also probably has the most going on day to day in his life outside of the gambling world. So I'm not going to fully roast him for it.
I was trying to get to that point. We've got some fun and some not so fun to talk about it, but lots of opinions coming at you, and we're going to watch some replays too. So make sure you tune in, strap in. Here we go. Riders up. All right, Mike, first race we're going to talk about here, the Grade 1 Fourstardave Handicap. And as this race, and not just this horse, but this race always has a special meaning for Magic Mike. Sure, we had got Stormy, got her second win in it for episode 300. Now episode 400 is upon us on Thursday, Mike. And Casa Creed, the horse we talk about more than any other horse since the start of the show, gets the job done in his third start. I mean, we were all over Regal Glory here, admittedly, and she just got beat by a better horse that day.
Yeah, this was an interesting race. I mean, first off, I couldn't be happier that Casa Creed actually won this race.
Yeah.
In my mind, the clear second choice in the race, Regal Glory going into the race was the clear class of it. Casa Creed was that bridesmaid type horse. This is the third time I've ran in this race. He finished third in both of those, and the tactics were different right from the get-go here. And I think that's one of the things you got to point out right away. You notice that Casa Creed took back here and kind of made this a 6 furlong sprint, which is what he is best at. He's won the Grade 1 Jaipur before over at Belmont, and he's like, okay, I'm going to come with one run versus trying to use more of the horse early. The last 2 times we were in the 4-Stardave, Casa Creed was sitting in second or third at this point in 10-horse fields. So bigger fields, closer to the pace, and didn't have that sprinter-esque closing ability, kind of ran in place down the lane. You saw the kick this time coming from the back of the pack here going a mile. I think the small field really helped Casa Creed because you didn't have to worry about position as much. It was more able to just kind of get your run in. But this was a phenomenal effort. And Regal Glory ran well, didn't have that devastating kick turning for home, because right here, she's out in the 3 pass. She looks like she's completely got this race in hand, and she just couldn't handle the kick that Casa Creed came with. I do think she got a little bored up front, though. You'll note when Casa Creed passes her, she kicks it back into gear. I don't think she was expecting someone to fly by like that.
Well, yeah, we were talking about it. Might have, I think, right after the proverbial dust. We're not talking about Churchill, so just proverbial dust settled on this race. She re-engaged, and she wasn't used to having a horse pass her on the outside. She's used to the one passing horses. So yeah, right here she bumps with Mason a bit, but she's passing him, getting past, and then boom, right there. She goes, and then you see her engage. You can it's like a switch you can see turn on, and she look how quickly she goes past the 4 and the 5.
It didn't look like didn't look like she was going to be a length better than them midway through the stretch. And then once Casa Creed passes her, all of a sudden she kind of does kick it up into that extra gear, which is something we've noticed with a couple horses in the last few weeks. It's interesting to see that happen. But that really sets up for the coming from the back of the pack there, where you don't have to worry about that. If you're coming from last, you don't have to worry about that re-engage, that laziness once you hit to the front.
So we were correct about fading Mason. The odds kind of said we weren't the only ones feeling that way. What was he, 2-1 on the morning line and 7-2 there? Mason is that classic. I'll call him kind of like a Rock Emperor light, even at this point. Maybe next year he can aspire to be Rock Emperor, where he'll beat the easy small fields, but you put him in against real legit Grade 1 horses. Here he faced 2 of them. He's third best to them. So Breeders, the conversation right now actually is Breeders' Cup Mile, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint for Casa Creed, because last time out he won the Jaipur for the 2nd year in a row, and that's a winning year for the Turf Sprint. This is a winning year for the Mile. The Turf Sprint at Keeneland, I believe, is 5 furlongs or 5.5, so it's going to be pretty short. What do you do if you're building out in the connections, Mike?
I'm going to the Mile. I am scared shitless of Golden Pal. That's pretty much my handicap of why you go to the Mile and not the Sprint. I think the Mile's worth more money. It might be the same. It might be a little bit more, but the Mile is definitely more prestigious than the Sprint. Look, you just bet the best miler in America, beat the best miler in America in Regal Glory in a lot of people's minds. So you just took down the horse that you most likely got to be mainly concerned with, versus having to deal with Golden Pal on a speed favoring shorter sprint track, right? I mean, Casa Creed winning the Jaipur, he won it. I think he's won it twice, right? He's won at least once at Belmont.
Back to back.
And at Belmont, you have those big long turns and that big long stretch. That really heeds itself toward Casa Creed, right? The Keeneland configuration for that sprint does not flatter his talents.
You are correct. I looked it up. It's a $2 million purse for the Turf Mile, $1 million purse for the Turf Sprint. Both Grade 1s. But again, if the race was held at Kentucky Downs, go to the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, because they'll call it 5.5 and it's like 7. So then you definitely want Casa Creed there, which I think if he runs again before the Breeders' Cup, I think Kentucky Downs is where they're still looking. So
it'd be really cool too if we do get to see him in Kentucky Downs. He loves it there. That's another track that I think really just fits him very well. And I think Marlon makes a great comment here. Saez does it again.
Yes.
We saw Saez switch over to the mount 2 back. It'd been Alvarado as his normal rider, and runs a career best buyer, I believe, this out, and was second career best buyer last time out. So absolutely, I'm sorry, runs 102 last time out, 103 this time out. Did have a 105 in the Jaipur, but by far 2 of the 3 best races this horse has run. Now with Saez aboard, back-to-back races here. This son of Jimmy Creed just getting better and better. And Jimmy Creed turf does not get enough love. This is the reason we started talking about this horse, was first-time turf Jimmy Creed. People need to pay attention when Jimmy Creed kids get on the turf.
I looked it up. It was January 5th, 2019. Mike loved this horse to win the Kitten's Joy. Henley's Joy was a huge, might have been odds-on favorite in that race, and beat him by a neck at 12-1. And I remember I had that in a pick 3 or pick 4, and I was celebrating in the San Diego press box, and like, how did you know to get that? And so I just was like, I can't think parrot. I just had exactly like it was like listening to the Magic Mike show again. So it was great. I took all full credit for it though. Don't worry.
That's hey, you can do whatever you want with Bridman, man.
No comment there. Casa Creed, Regal Glory. I think they both go to the mile. No shame here. Regal Glory. This was a little bit of a learning experience too because she'd never faced the males. Jose Ortiz. I don't want to say he got outworked, but he now learned what happens when she gets challenged by a horse like that, and I think is going to be able to handle it. It was interesting listening to Chad Brown and Jose Ortiz talk a little bit about Regal Glory. She can be a bit of a handful to ride, which I didn't know. When you watch Jose Ortiz in these races, you wouldn't know that. His hands, those white gloves of his, they don't really move that much. But any final thoughts before we move on from the 4-star, Dave?
Well, real quick, I got to bring in a guest here. So I got a question here for the 4-star Dave. 4-star Dave, do you think Casa Creed should get a race named after himself in the New York circuit? He does. There you go. 4-star Dave, breaking news there, thinks that Casa Creed should have a race in the NYRA circuit.
Fantastic radio for our podcast listeners too. Just wonderful. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm rubbing off on you.
Don't worry, we have another guest coming later.
Oh, I'm scared to see what happens here. A race that wasn't a stakes, but we did want to talk about it because we covered this race in the Magic Mike show, late pick 5. About race 9, we had a bunch of older maidens in this sequence, and we were all excited because Todd Pletcher had a coupled entry. Unlimited Potential was a $750,000 Sunday Union Rags. And we were like, oh, this is the horse. This is the one. And if he was just the single entry, Mike, yes, he would have won this race by 4 1/4 lengths. However, he also had his stablemate Expressman in here who beat him by 7 1/4 lengths and gets a 107 buyer for a debut. Are you kidding me?
I mean, so just to put in context here, this is the 3rd highest buyer any 3-year-old has run in 2022. Any 3-year-old in the Derby, in the Belmont, in the Preakness, in the sprint race, in any stakes race, any grade 1, this is the 3rd highest buyer behind Jack Christopher and Charge It as the top 2. So wild to do that in a debut, wild to do it at 7 furlongs. And man, this is just a really, really impressive race. And if you look at Unlimited Potential, so if you run a 93 buyer in your first start, you win that race 98 times out of 100, 99 times, like ridiculous percentage you're going to win. And in this case, just a phenomenal effort here from Expressman, who got up front and just ran away from them. So this was absolutely phenomenal here. And it's going to be interesting to see where we go next with both Unlimited Potential and Congressman, because Unlimited Potential, I think, wants 2 turns. I think that's why you debuted at 7, and eventually he'll stretch out. Expressman, it's stakes next from Todd Pletcher. At least that's what we're hearing. Is that correct, Todd? Todd, there you go. Breaking news. Going to send Expressman to a stakes race here right after it. Man, it's tough to get these guests lined up. I'm glad we're able to do it.
I don't know where we got the budget for this. Apparently, we had a really good weekend in Saratoga, so that's good news. Just watch this. Off the turn, by the way, at this point, I thought for sure Unlimited Potential was going to blow right past Expressman.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I tipped him out too wide. He'd been saving ground, and then you can almost see Expressman going like we've done this in workouts all the time. You're supposed to be with me. Come back, and he's not coming back to us. He just keeps going.
It doesn't really get asked either. That's like we're still in hand ride mode here. We get a 107 buyer, and that's like this comes back in racehorse time here. You'll note that they come back 122 and 4. Very, very quick for 3-year-olds going this distance. Unlimited Potential
for their debuts.
On their debuts, Unlimited Potential looked good, like you said, tipped out and looked like we were just going to roll right by and just didn't. These two have been working together and had been jointly throwing bullets up, so you knew they both had talent, but I don't think anyone expected quite this. It will be interesting to see what the choice is next, right? I mean, if you want to try and wheel back at Saratoga, it's pretty tough. There's not a ton of options. I'm trying to look through the Saratoga Stakes schedule here, and there's not really anything that you can wheel back to, so you got to think that we're going to go. I mean, you got the Jerkins on the 27th, but that's way too fast. That's 2 weeks. You got to think we're going to see this horse next time at Belmont.
Aqueduct.
I'm sorry.
It's going to be tricky for all of us to remember that. Looking at Aqueduct's schedule, if you want to stay at 7 furlongs, the Vosburg, that's a grade 2 on October 8th. That's a win and you're in for, I think, the sprint, right? The Vosburg. So you've got that as an option. If you want to, it depends on how he comes out of it. It's hard too, because like you're mentioning, you don't want to wheel them back out of a debut when they run a huge number, because that's how you break this horse. Like you want to make sure this horse has plenty of time to recover, breathe, and be ready for the next big effort. And I mean, clearly it's worked so far. You can trust that Pletcher's going to do that. But if it's going to be stakes next, it's probably the Vosburg on the 8th, or else Aqueduct has the what's it going to be, the Kelso, a 1-turn mile race on October 29th. And that's, I mean, Breeders' Cup, if they go to the Vosburg like there and then wins it, okay, we can go Breeders' Cup. Otherwise, I think that's too much, and you can kind of, Kelso would be a good spot for him.
Yep. No, I agree. And as a betting actionable items here, right? Because this is obviously, we care about wagering and making some money on this show as well. It's going to be interesting to see how this field gets bet underneath, right? Because this was Southern Flag, who ends up running third. This was his fifth start, had 480+ buyers, is still yet to win. So it's one of those horses where it kind of keeps running well, but not able to get the job done. This was second off a layoff for Southern Flag. I am interested in Southern Flag coming back next time out. Third off a layoff, third out as a 3-year-old for Bill Mott. Seems like the horse did improve, set a career best buyer, should take a step forward out of this. Outside of that, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of horses that get over bet in this race. Just because those top two put up big numbers doesn't mean the rest of this field was anywhere near them. So it's one of those things where I'm interested in Southern Flag, but I'm probably fading the rest of this field next time out.
Happy Bob took a big old bounce. Your 5-2 second choice at a 79 on debut, and then a 68 completely. Well, look who was aboard. It was Flavien Prat's fault.
Hey, we single-handedly rejuvenated Flavien Prat's career over this weekend. After the, we lit a fire under him. We got him going, man. Gave him some good stinky cheese, and he went right to that racetrack, and he got the job done.
I'm sorry your 02-035 didn't get the job done on Portfolio Company. Tried really hard to lose that race.
I'm telling you, man, I felt really good about 02-035 coming into the lane. It looked like he was going to get the job done. The Exacta at least paid 31-1, which was a wildly nice price for the Exacta. So that was nice. So we got I had the Exacta cold. We mentioned it cold on Dudes Who Bet Daily. We talked about it on the show last week that, hey, this was the horse that runs out of it. And it still amazes me. This is one of those things. If you're playing a single race bets, it still amazes me. If you go back to Portfolio Company for a second, actually, I'm sorry, go back to 02-03-05 for a second. So Portfolio Company goes off at 90 cents on the dollar. 02-03-05, 2 back at Monmouth, came out of the exact same race, lost by 2 lengths to Portfolio Company, and he's 28-1 in this spot. And they run 1-2. They literally ran, so no one could get within 2 lengths of Portfolio Company. And the horse that ran 2 lengths behind him last time is the horse that runs second this time, and that Exacta comes back 31-1. Just crazy.
And this wasn't a race with this wasn't a stakes race. This wasn't a high level launch. These were a bunch of bad horses. We tried to beat Portfolio Company in the Magic Mike show. We all said, you got to use him, but we tried hard to beat him, and he tried hard to lose. So it was at least a good shot. I did want to bring up the third place horse, Piqua. I think you used, I didn't, because it was first time facing winners, but was interested in seeing this horse. Debuted at Saratoga as a 2-year-old, ran well. We don't see him again until he wins at Laurel Gate to Wire. And we were like, you can't win this race Gate to Wire like that. So you see Alvarado tries pulling him back. And I thought a very good finish from him. So a horse maybe to take out of this to stable up. I think this is a good one.
I agree. I think this is one where, especially if you get anywhere near this price again next time out, it's a horse that's definitely it's definitely worth using. It was a nice step forward. Good to see him to be able to rate. And this horse has every opportunity to still improve. If you look at 03, 02, 05, whatever the hell his name is, he's run like 20 times. That horse is a veteran. That was Piqua's third effort. So he still has much more upside than the other 2 horses that we're discussing above him.
All right. So that was the fun part of the show. If you tune out now, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Otherwise, let's talk about Churchill Downs.
The one thing I always say, before you completely obliterate someone or something, you have to say something positive about them. So, Magic, do you want to say something positive about Churchill Downs? Or do you want me to?
My positive thing, and I hope I don't steal yours. It was only one day, and it's already over.
Okay. It's fair. I will applaud them for going to penny breakage. They are one of the tracks that have moved toward penny breakage, and if you've been in the game long enough, you used to have, you see at 99% of the tracks that everything's rounded out to the dime. That costs gamblers literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because the track keeps that breakage versus paying out to the penny. CDI has made the decision to move a lot of their tracks to the penny. So I will applaud them for moving this day to the penny payouts at Churchill. I want to say Pat Cummings tweeted that it was about $45,000 that was returned to bettors today. That would not have been on Churchill Day. So kudos to you, CDI, for doing it right in that sense. All right, now let's obliterate them.
Okay, there you go. In that sense, I explained what happened to
Never
Mrs.
mind. I take
Magic.
it back. Kentucky made him do it. So never mind, Churchill. You were
I was
forced
going
to
to
do it.
say, there we go. That was like saying, the devil's got a lot of problems,
Yeah.
but at least my pores are breathing down here. Like, that's what you're trying to say. Like, no, I explained to Mrs. Magic what had happened with the track and showed her a replay. And I was like, what? She was like, how is that safe? I'm like, I don't know that it was, because they took a bunch of races off the turf that were supposed to be there. Anyway, to your point, Mike, if you look here on the screen, and podcast listeners, sorry, this is the closing odds, 7.51. 3.78. We're seeing penny breakage here. The payouts, I'd love to see what they would have been otherwise, but your pick 4 here pays $1,500, and I'm sure that would have paid a lot less than that without the breakage.
Yeah, it's good to see. And like I said, it costs bettors a lot of money. It's nice to see this money being returned to bettors' pockets, because it would not have been. So kudos to the state of Kentucky for doing that. Now, if only they could make it illegal for Churchill Downs to run races.
All right. So speaking of that, I'm going to put it on here. And this is just, it's just terrible. Here's the big problem I have with it. It's not even like, I don't know where to start. If it's from a betting perspective, not knowing how to handicap, the safety perspective. Mike, I hate that this is a Breeders' Cup win and you're in. We now, no offense to Delika, but if you look at her form, she doesn't really have any race that says she belongs in that race. I'm not saying anybody else in here necessarily does, but this race shouldn't be a win and you're in, because look at the turf course.
Yeah, this is worse than the turf course down at Gulfstream. I understand that they want to make it as safe as possible, and they wanted to run these races at Churchill. This is just poor management. That's really the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
You don't blame the horses, you don't blame the trainer, you don't blame the connections. So this is just an idiotic idea to come back for one day and run 2 graded stakes on the turf that you haven't run on. You have no idea how it's going to play, no idea how it's going to run. It's just blind stupidity by a greedy management company when they have other places. Just run this at Colonial. Just go to Colonial for the day if you really want to do this. Like, there's other ways that you could have made this work, and you literally made, as a management company, the worst possible decision for everyone involved, and it just creates this smorgasbord of problems. And not one of the biggest ones you mentioned. As a bettor, you have no clue how this turf course is going to play. Literally never seen this turf course before. You've got to come in here and guess. And I don't think either winner changed leads. No one closed an inch. Like, it was just kind of ridiculous what you ended up seeing on Saturday.
I don't understand this reference quite. I'm a little out of the pop culture. But JL says, can we blame Melton John for the turf course like the Bears did this weekend?
They must have blamed him for something. And this is the thing that makes, this is just so sad, is the Arlington turf course was beautiful and luscious, and that was a gorgeous track that was wildly managed toward the end of its lifespan, and that's why it ended up where it did. But this is just one of those things where this course is just, to see the Arlington Million run on this turf course makes it even worse as someone who loved Arlington.
We had a listener follower who went to Arlington track today on Saturday on Arlington Day to take a picture of the track and send it, and I was like, that looks beautiful. First of all, it's still being maintained. Look at this now. Somebody, I would love to have somebody from CDI who is responsible for, making decisions to come on here and actually explain why they thought this was a good idea. I'm not trying to rip people and not give them a chance. Show up here. Tell us why the fuck you thought this was a good idea, because good Lord, it was not.
I'm happy that all the horses came back healthy, because that was
a miracle.
That's one of the big reasons why they shut down the turf and redid the turf course, and it seems like that at least worked. But there's so many other issues here to me, it goes back to the fact that this wasn't necessary. You have other racetracks that you can go to, that you can run this stuff at. You didn't need to force this down the throat. And one of the best parts about the Arlington Million Festival, which is what it was at Arlington, was it was all of these awesome turf races, right? And you have Colonial right there that you just bought that you could have just done this on. Hell, you could have run the dirt races at Arlington or at Churchill, and you could have run the turf races at Kentucky Downs, and that would have been really freaking cool and made it like that. To gone back for the one. I realize they're not all at the same place, but there's ways you could have been creative and come up with awesome ideas that would have been exciting and fun. And instead, you run 2 big-time Grade 1 races on this.
There's so many. It keeps going. We can keep shitting on CDI all show. They forced their way into this slot on the calendar. Tracks like Ellis Park they thrive on the weekends, right? The smaller tracks, they only run during the summer for a few weeks. And so when that happens, and you take away one of their Saturdays, you're taking away a lot of money from the horsemen and from the people who work there. And, so the CDI can run this. Okay. And then this is what happens. I mean, I understand that their egos prevent them from ever admitting that they might have done something wrong. But at some point, someone should have, like, maybe the point when you went from having 6 turf stakes races planned to 2, because the turf course sucks, you should have just admitted this is a bad idea. We're going to hold it at Colonial, or we're going to do something like that. Yeah, Charles says one of the best without Arlington. I think it might be the best turf course now.
I can't even fathom what the discussion was in the room, because at some point there was a board meeting about this, right? And you have all the executives sitting in the room discussing why this is a good idea, and not a single person be like, "Hey guys, the hell are we doing?" It's like someone should have said something. I don't know if everyone was scared of the person who thought this was a good idea or what. But man, this is just one of those, it's a head scratcher. And like, you go into it and you go like, okay, I want to be positive about this. I want to be positive about this. And then you look at the card and they're like, maiden special weight, 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 stakes race, maiden special weight, maiden special. It's just like, okay, so you didn't even really try from a card perspective. No. Oh, by the way, there's not many horses left at Churchill right now because it's one day only. And then on top of that, it's just, I don't get it. And that's the, like, there's a lot of things I don't get in horse racing. This one is one of those that was so easily avoided, yet you chose to just continue to jam it down, this idea down everyone's throat, instead of doing the right thing.
Well,
all right.
I guess if you want to do another nice thing, it was nice that a good person like Al Stahl got a grade 1 win with a horse is she 6 years old now? 5? She's been in training a long time.
Delika?
He's kept her. Delika, yeah.
I think she's 7.
She's old. She's been doing this for a long while. She's still in form. She just usually, when she gets to grade 1 company, wilts pretty bad, but she always was great at fairgrounds. So to the point, Al Stahl Jr., definitely a good guy in the sport. So I guess if there's grade 1 status and money to go to someone, I'd rather it goes to him than, no offense to the Brad Cox barn, that they just, it's another notch on the wall.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. She is 6. You're right, Delika. And this definitely, I don't want to say it didn't fit with the rest of the efforts. She took to that course a lot better than other horses did, right? She runs a 98 buyer to get the victory. That is her career best buyer, but not by much. You look at everybody else. I mean, you go down to Family Way. Family Way has the Family Way has run well. You've got 102 for Princess Grace. You've got Regier, who had a 97 on debut. Lily Pond, who came over from overseas. I can't imagine how that horse felt about this turf course compared to what you've seen in Europe. So she should be 8-1 in that spot, but she was able to get the job done. She also fought back. I mean, it was a pretty valiant effort down the lane to fight back and get the win.
It was. Speaking of horses that took to it pretty well, let's talk about the other race, the other grade 1 race on the Durf, the Arlington Million. And this one, listen, after we watched the literal merry-go-round of the first 5 horses, and we looked at this and thought, well, the 2 best horses in the Arlington Million are the 2 horses that probably be forwardly placed after we lost Mega City. Not a big surprise here, but I will say, let's ignore the buyer figure. Santine and Smooth Like Straight, good efforts from them, and I think Santine continues to rise with his star, and Smooth Like Straight continues to be that horse that loves to run second.
Yeah, key underneath the exacta, and then go from there. I mean, this was the race for me where Smooth Like Straight had to win, and I had Smooth Like Straight in this race. And if you're going to win a race like this was the time. They went a little bit quick up front. I mean, 23-4 is pretty fast for a mile and a quarter, but all things said, you got to get the job done here if you're Smooth Like Straight, because really it's you trying to hold off Santine, and you're going to be able to set the pace and be comfortable up front. And if you can't do that, it's going to be tough for you to get a W here. And we talked about this going into it. Smooth Like Straight's lost to a lot of really good horses. Smooth Like Straight has not beaten a lot of really good horses, though. And that's the problem, is you keep running second or third to these very good horses. And when you're in a grade 1, guess who shows up? Very good horses. So it's tough for Smooth Like Straight to get the job done, despite consistently being the bridesmaid.
Yeah, I think with him, it's not just fading win-wise, but I think as the year goes on and we get to, we go back to Keeneland is probably where he'll go. Or maybe it goes back to Santa Fe City of Hope Mile, but it's hard to figure out where this horse can go to win.
They're a million wide, too. They have no interest in being on that rail. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's true. And by the way, that's like the about almost where the inner rail was for the Beverly D there, because the turf course so shitty they had to split it up so nobody ran over it twice.
It's admitting your mistake. Well, you're making it. Anyway, sorry.
One horse a takeaway from this. Let's go. I'm going to rewind this a little bit. The horse that loved Churchill Downs and had absolutely no shot with his pace setup. Set piece. The one horse. Way back here. First of all, if you bet set piece in this race after watching race 5, we need to have a talk after class. You're doing things wrong. So he's way back here. The fact that he closed from this far back, Mike, he missed third, I think by a head or something like that. On this course, it's damn impressive. Does this mean we might actually get a slightly better price on set piece next time?
Well, I mean, probably not, because a lot of people need their heads examined, apparently, because set piece went off the favorite in this race, which was wild to me. I was shocked that set piece was the shortest price on the board. I don't disagree that set piece should have been the third price and could even be a competitive third, but to be the favorite after seeing that other race was wild to me. Look, this horse kind of feels, and this is weird, it feels a little bit like Smooth Like Straight, where it runs a good race every time, but always has a reason why he can't win the race. And I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, look, I'm just going to keep tossing set piece until set piece beats me, and then maybe I'll consider playing set piece again. Like, because the fact is, this horse just keeps getting bet. And if you look at the last what, 5? No, now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the last 9 races this horse has gone off favored. Include this one, it's 8 of the last 10 that this horse has gone off favored. And when you look at that, and it only results in 2 wins in the last 6, 4 in the last 8, but those other 2 were short price favorites in overnight listed stakes. The last 6 were all graded stakes. Last 7 were all graded stakes. In those graded stakes, gone off the favorite in 5 of the 7 and won just twice. I mean, at that point, the horse is getting bet every race against great company. And yeah, like you look at the last race at Saratoga, the Forbidden Apple had every excuse. The trip was awful. Drew could not get the horse open into any space at any point. But you know what? That's what closers do. They get bad trips sometimes. And so the way this horse keeps getting bet, the way Smooth Like Straight keeps getting bet, I hope they end up in the same race together so I can fade both of them, because it seems like that's what you have to do until they really beat you. And Smooth Like Straight, I'm not sure will ever beat me. Outside of the dinner he cost me at the Breeders' Cup a couple of years back, finishing second. Last year. Yeah, shouldn't have said second. That was the problem. Look, set piece people keep betting him. You can't keep including him because he should have been 4 or 5 to 1 in this spot, and he went off as your 2 to 1 favorite, right? And that's the problem. He keeps getting overbet in these fields.
Well, especially again, like if you watched what happened in race 5, and you should have been, if you really wanted to bet that race, if you can, you should have watched race 5, because nobody knew what the turf horse was going to look like. And we all went, that's a highway, nobody's passing anybody. Play Smooth Like Straight, play Satine. Yeah, the winner, and I couldn't even remember poor horse's name. And I'm with you. You know, if 7 to 2 even, I could see that. The other horses were 2 to 1, but more money went on set piece. He was the favorite of the 3 of them. So, oh well. Listen, that's kind of it for the weekend. A little bit of a shorter show. We do have a lot coming this weekend. And Mike, I do want to talk about, we've mentioned it before, you've actually given it out on the show, but at racingdudes.com, we officially have your best bets for the NFL season for team totals. So you can check that out over here at racingdudes.com. But you can catch the reaction and the replay for Costa Creed, for Delika. Jared has his top rankings for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. And of course, right there, the smiling faces of the Magic Mike Show.
Well, you got to love the Magic Mike Show. I mean, those are some beautiful faces there. And check out those abs while you're at it, right? Look, we got a lot coming this week. It's going to be fun. We'll be back with Dudes Who Bet Daily Wednesday through Sunday, noon Eastern. Going to be best bets from Saratoga, Del Mar, around the sports world. Excited to get the NFL back here. We're into the second week of the preseason now. It was an interesting first week, so we'll have to unpack some of that at some point here as well. And then, the trip trouble videos are going to come hot and heavy here. I don't know if you realize, but Luago, who was a 20 to 1 shot trip trouble video that we put out at Stable Him Up, won at 4 to 5 this weekend at Monmouth, dropped back down to claiming and won. If we go back to allowance, I'm still interested in this horse. I'm just not sure what price we're going to get. We've got a couple up from Saratoga as well for the Stable Him Up last week. I'm going to try and put out a couple more Stable Him Up videos. And then we're also starting to release our top 5 contenders for each division inside the Breeders' Cup. So start checking those out. I got to sign the 2-year-old, so I got to do a little bit of digging here. But we didn't mention one 2-year-old that we probably should at least mention over at Del Mar as well, who ran this weekend. Cave Rock. Okay. I almost said Cave Run. Cave Rock debuts the 101 buyer for Bob Baffert. Looked phenomenal, too. So it looks like Bob Baffert has another horse of a lifetime. 101 buyer is a 2-year-old. I can't remember the last time I saw that. 3-year-olds, we've seen the 100-plus buyer, but 101 for a 2-year-old is like, because obviously Justified did it. Hidden Scroll did it. We just saw
Charlatan.
And Charlatan did it all at 3. 2-year-olds going 101 is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I know it wasn't the latest one to do it. McLean's Music is always the one I think of that did it. Had that huge, like 110 buyer, and then it was never seen again until the breeding shed. I'll pull it up right here. That's why I'm killing time until I can find it. Here we go. That was a very impressive effort. We can watch the replay for it, especially because there is another horse in there that I think you should pay attention to, trying to get 2 turns. I didn't want him in here at 1 turn. That's the horse, the 7 Ultimate Gamble, who ultimately finishes 4th after chasing him. That's a horse that Mark Latt said would be great at 2 turns. They just need to get something in it. But yeah, watch the 2 horse here for Bob Baffert, who, by the way, he wins with this horse, and then the same owners, who they were the McKinsey's owners, among other horses for Baffert. They came back and won the Best Pal Stakes on Sunday. Yeah. Make sure I didn't say Sorrento.
Can you actually go back to the start real quick too?
Sure.
I did stables. I'm not gonna do a stable him up from this race, but I did stable up the 8 horse here, Practical Move. This is a Tim Yakteen first time starter. He's 4% with first time starters. He's 12% second out, and his percentages continue to improve. So he runs horses into it a little bit more. I love Practical Joke as a sire. The 8 horse Practical Move breaks poorly in this spot and ends up running second to Cave Rock here. So the 8 was 24-1 on this day as a horse that I stabled up out of this race because I think he'll be a little interesting coming back here.
It's hard to tell from the head on there that he broke very slowly. I'll show it, but you can see it better here when they come out of the gate here. But yeah, he's already slow.
He just kind of gets pinched out by a 10. Yeah. But Yakteen not great first out. So that's a Yakteen horse I'm interested in second out when we get to hopefully get some type of price back on him. But we'll see if after running second to Cave Rock.
Yeah, he's 24-1 there. I don't know. We'll see what that turns out to be. Fast forward a little bit. It was a very impressive effort. This isn't of the Baffert 2-year-olds, and by the way, he's been very tight-lipped about most of them. This wasn't one of the ones that I had heard a lot of glowing reviews about. His workouts coming in weren't screaming like A+ is off the page, but I mean, you see how professional he is. JJ just pulls out the whip, but doesn't even touch him. I think he had it just in case he needed it. But yeah, solid finish there. I mean, they are 2 years old, so you know, seeing the fact that his final times there, it was an easy win for him. It looked strong. I don't know about 101 buyer, but I'm also not a figure maker. I thought it was great. 101 to me screams like potential Hall of Famer here.
Yeah, it seems a little tough. I wonder if it's because the 2-year-old's running 6.5 furlongs just isn't that common, so it's harder to make a figure for it. By the way, how do you make figures for those 2 Arlington races? Sorry, I'm back on the it's ridiculous to think that you can even come up with buyers for that because you have zero comparison because there is no comparison to that turf course. You only have the 2 races that ran that day. Anyway, 101 seems a little bit high. It did seem a little bit high for that effort, but it was a phenomenal effort, and we'll see what's behind it. But I actually thought there were a couple good horses in that race. So to be able to run away from that field like that was really impressive. I'm sure we'll see that one out in the graded stakes next time.
Speaking of the Arlington figures, so Santine, they both go mile and an eighth. Santine wins in 146.8. Delika wins in 146.3. Yet Delika gets a 98. Santine gets a 106. No, just no figures count for that race.
Yep. Like never run on that turf course before, ever. You have to make a figure. You have no clue how it plays, how fast or how slow it is. Like obviously it plays towards speed. Like it's just, how do you possibly do that? You're literally guessing at that point.
Charles says, "This stretch the theme song back out. My dog misses howling along to the lyrics." He says, I saw that comment before too. That made me laugh. Hey, listen, sometimes one of us is trying to do something as the theme song's playing. It might be one of those times if I'm like, hey, I'm running late from the bathroom. We're gonna do the extended one here.
Do you want the extended one? Look at that. Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher wants the extended theme song.
I'm not the one that asked for the shorter one.
What can I say? Hall of Famers chiming in here.
That's true. Tyler Bays, I don't know if you saw this, but I've been bringing this up real quick. Disappeared. Don't really know what's going on. He is named back on his mounts Thursday, but Thursday, he just didn't show up. And then by the 7th race, he finally called the stewards and said he needed the weekend off. So, not sure what's going on. I know he's had some personal jockeys, people on the backside. they lead some rough lives. There's a lot of personal shit that goes on.
It's not easy being a jockey either. I mean, I can't imagine the rigors of it, because you got to get your ass up early in the morning to ride these horses, and it's not a easy profession in general from a physical capabilities perspective, and you have to stay under a certain weight when you're burning a shitload of calories. Like I can't imagine how difficult it is to actually be a jockey and do it for years and years and years and years and not have some type of struggles at some point.
So Tyler Bays began riding in 1999 when he was 16. He would have been 16
crazy
at that
part.
point.
A lot of these jockeys start like late teens, right? They're like not even out of high school and they're starting to ride at the high levels of the sport. Like it can't be easy either. Because I remember when I made $30,000 and I was 18, I thought it was all the money in the freaking world. Like I can't imagine how some of these guys who make good amount of money and then have to keep weight and go through all this, and like I got to be tough lives.
Well, you know it's not a tough life, Mike. On Thursday, we're going to have another episode of the Magic Mike Show. It's going to be a special episode. It's going to be number 400. I'll be honest, I don't have anything special planned yet. I haven't really thought about it yet.
Well, should we do an AMA, or should we do you want to like insert an AMA on Wednesday maybe, and then do a full pod on Thursday for cross country or something?
Problem with the AMAs is we get I love everybody who shows up for them, but we get 10, 12 people asking questions, and it's hard to. What if we do an AMA throughout the podcast on Thursday?
Okay, I'm down with that.
We'll do one race, and then we'll do a question. We'll have to try and answer it real quick, and then we'll move on to the next one.
So if anyone listening wants to submit questions before Thursday, contact at racingdudes.com. Send in your questions. We'll answer as many as we can on Thursday for the 400 show, and we'll weave in either a late pick 4 or cross country pick 5, one of the two.
Yeah. By the way, this weekend, let's take a look. Alabama Stakes, Nest versus Secret Oath, the rematch. That's happening. Del Mar Oaks is on Saturday as well. And speaking of that, I will be at Del Mar. I'm going down Saturday to Del Mar for my trip this summer. So that'll be exciting. Taking the train down, hang out with John Lees for a bit. That'll be fun. We've got that going on. And then the Lake Placid Saturday at Saratoga. And then on Sunday is the Queen's Plate. So, we'll have to talk some Queen's Plate on Thursday too.
I mean, you're crushing it north of the border with CFL anyway, so I figure we got to integrate Woodbine in here somewhere. I do want to know the answer to this. Magic, what is your favorite sandwich?
Oh, no. Shadi just opened up a can of, I have to be careful here. My favorite sandwich without grilled meat or cooked meat is I just love a peanut butter and jelly. I can get down with the peanut butter and jelly all day. I know you're allergic to nuts, so I understand that.
Wait. Why are you eliminating cooked meat from favorite sandwich?
Because a cheeseburger is my favorite sandwich, Mike. But I also love a lot. There's the debate about, is that a sandwich or not? Is that is
it meat between bread?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's a sandwich. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want that. There's not a debate. There's some dumb people that think a hamburger is not a sandwich. That's all it is. Okay, it's not a debate. It's people lacking common sense. When you define a sandwich is meat between bread with some other shit, right?
So therefore, is a taco a sandwich? Because it's flour, tortilla, which is a form of bread, and there's the meat and other shit that's in between it.
See, I would.
This is why I didn't want to do this.
I had not thought about is a taco a sandwich before, because a hot dog is a sandwich. So I'm gonna say, yes. A taco is a sandwich. It follows the same sandwich characteristics. If you look at things like if you look at ravioli is the same as what's with a little dumpling. As it's like in each culture they have their own version of ravioli, so they're all the same thing, right? In each culture you have your own version of a sandwich, like that. So to me, yes, a taco is a sandwich. Oh, Dr. Tang, come on, stick to cancer, man. A burger is a sandwich. It's not even close. It's not even debatable. It's meat between two pieces of bread.
You said it before I could.
Is a quesadilla sandwich? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yes, because it's if a grilled cheese is a sandwich, a quesadilla is a sandwich.
Okay? Can you tell my wife, because I made that literal exact same argument? I was like, I said, is it grilled cheese with a different type of bread? That is all that is.
See, this is why we need AMAs, because this part's actually a lot of fun to talk about.
Chris Maella,
shots fired.
Comment of the day: Chris Maella says, "This is how you ended up betting English beef 50 times."
To be fair, it was only like 30. So, but hey, I'm going to stand by the taco take. I will stand by the quesadilla take. I'm the fan of the Italian. I like the big Italian subs. Like if you can find me a good delicatessen that makes a good Italian sub, that is my favorite sandwich.
We went to we escaped to the ocean, went down to Playa del Vista, or Playa del Rey yesterday, and went to the grocery store and just got like the pre-made deli ones, which aren't nearly as good as like, you get a real deli doing it. But even then it was the po' boy, it was like the ham, the turkey, I can't say there's an Italian meat that starts with a P. I can never say. So nobody name a horse after it. I don't ever want to have to say that. Not prosciutto. It's pico something.
Yeah. I got nothing.
Not pico de gallo. That's very different.
If I'm picking, like, if you had to only eat one type of food for the rest of your life, sandwich would probably be my pick. I mean, I love soup, but you have such versatility when it comes to sandwiches of what you can have in there. You can have some good, nice grilled steak. You can have fish. There's so many different options. I would probably say if I had to do something, sandwich would be the one type. Like if you're thinking it's pasta, it's sandwich. If you have all these different versions, I think sandwich would be my pick.
So I want to know, not the Italian sub has roast beef, but if you eat a roast beef sandwich and you have Swiss cheese on it, how is that not a cheeseburger? You're literally just eating the same thing.
It was cooked. It was cooked a while ago, not right now, right? That's all it is. Right. That's the only difference. Yeah.
It's like when you go to Taco Bell, it's the same 6 ingredients. Do you want it fried or baked? Do you want it corn or flour? Do you want beef or chicken?
There are good fish sandwiches out there. It has to be done right, but there are good ones out there. Like I've had a very good spicy salmon burger before. That was an excellent sandwich. There's different ways that you can make fish sandwiches good. I agree with you in general. Fish sandwich is not wonderful. There's also some good fried fish sandwiches out there as well.
Patty melt is a sandwich. That's just a burger between toast instead of a bun. That's fine. I do want to call out too. Where is he? Leonard Living Large here. Philly steak and cheese, maybe a lobster roll. I've never had a lobster roll in my life still. Are you frozen? Did we lose you?
No, I'm just shocked. How have you never had a lobster roll? Like that's ridiculous.
I'm not a big seafood person. That's like I'll eat it. Like I love sushi, but it's beyond that. Shrimp.
They have the Brothers Lobster Truck at Santa Anita, which was on Shark Tank. They have a good lobster roll. It's delicious. It's bread, lobster, and butter. Like how can that shit not be good?
See, but I'm not a huge lobster person. That's why I'm like, all right.
Well, I get that. If you're not a big lobster person, the price kind of dictates it's not the best idea for you.
Right. And I don't want, if I'm buying a lobster roll for $3.50, it's either going to be this small or I'm going to spend 350 minutes in the bathroom afterwards. So this is the thing. Like you looked frozen. I really thought that you were frozen. No, I live in California. Lobsters are from Maine, not California.
I think it was the seafood comment. You don't love seafood that much. California is like literally the best state in the U.S. for seafood.
Fun fact, the first time I ever had purposely ordered seafood at a restaurant was on a date in Marina Del Rey when I came to visit my now wife. So
you never
I can do it.
Wait, whoa.
It was the first time I purposely ordered seafood in a restaurant.
How many times have you ordered seafood on accident in a restaurant prior to that? Do you keep ordering shrimp and not realizing it was seafood? Like, I'll take the tuna. Oh shit, that's a fish. Like, what? How do you like? What happened?
I thought that my French would translate well in when we were in Germany, and I was wrong.
Okay, so all right. First time you had seafood at a restaurant was in Germany. Interesting.
All right, listen, this was fun. So the one comment about a sandwich turned into all of this fun. So please join us for Magic Mike Show episode 400. We'll have a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys joining us. Either Saratoga or cross country. I don't know. Saratoga's going to be part of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of like the cross country more because I'm afraid we're going to have some short fields in that Saratoga. Late pick 5.
Like the Alabama won't be part of it. That's
true. Let's see what the selection is, and then we'll say it on Twitter. Basically, what we're going to go with. But yeah, let's. I want to make sure we get some full fields for episode 400, so we can bring back a banger.
There you go. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8, corporate overlords at racing_dudes. Remember, visit racingdudes.com for free picks every race, every track across the country, and then Wednesday through Sunday, dudes who bet daily at noon Eastern live at youtube.com/racingdudes. Mike, it has been fun. Magic was this last time at dinner, didn't eat a single piece of sushi with us at a sushi restaurant. Here's the thing.
He didn't drink sake either.
My son was like a couple of months old. This was the first time I really left the house since he'd been born. And I was still amazed at the sunshine and the people that were out and about. Like alcohol and food, no, that was like too much overload for Magic. When we met Dr. Tang, I'm trying to remember how to be a sociable person. Like, it was a difficult time.
That was an excellent sushi restaurant too. Somobomb outside of Santa Monica, very good sushi if you're in LA. They got a lunch special for $20. It's delicious. Just throwing it out.
The one thing I remember the most about that dinner is we're dads, and we're all talking about our kids. The first time we met is Dr. Tang, like I said. And so everybody's talking about their kids, and I've got the youngest one. And so you guys are showing your kids, and you guys are like asking me, and I'm so exhausted. I'm just trying to pay attention to what everybody's saying. And I was like, oh yeah, he's good. And then like an hour later, I'm driving home, and I'm like, everybody was passing around photos of their kids. I must have been a real asshole for just being like, yeah, no, my kid's good. And didn't like, I'm not showing you to him. No, we're good.
Yeah, I just figured you weren't very proud of him. So.
Oh, that's a good one. We're get out of here on that one. That's a great one. We'll be back on Thursday. Please join us then. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week, everybody.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.